Oh, you know what time it is. It is Shooting the Shit Uncensored, baby. And it is me, your host, the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And today I am joined by not just our very special guest, the real one, Enzo, aka formerly known as Enzo Amore, but also I have a very special guest co-host this evening, intern Brad. He is the producer of Killing the Funkin' Kingpin show, and also the producer for Get Funked here on the MWA Podcast Network. Brad, thank you for joining me on this interview tonight.
Pleasure.
Look, before we bring out our guests, let's take a quick second, a quick pause for the cause to thank those sponsors who help us keep these lights on up in this bitch. First up is healthvape.com. Now, ladies and gentlemen, healthvape.com is your healthy vaping alternative. All of their products have no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals, and they're vitamin infused, guys. So if you're a cigarette smoker, you're a vapor. Is that like a vapor's a word? I don't know. But anyway, guys, if you want to transition off that stuff onto something as a healthier lifestyle, check out healthvape.com. Use promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase, baby. And next up is sleeves.com. Now, if you are an athlete or someone you know is an athlete, you need to check out sleeves.com. They've got armbands, they've got knee guards, they've got compression pants, compression tights, headbands, mouth guards. Guys, they've even got dirty fucking boxes. And these dirty boxes they send me are the most comfortable boxes that I own, Brad, hands down. Plus, they've got a huge elephant trunk at the beginning. So, like when Mrs. Austin, she sees me walk in wearing the dirty boxes, man, it's almost going to be four kid o'clock, baby. But I'm gonna tell her to hold her down a bit. But guys, make sure you check out our amazing sponsors using those promo codes. But guys, without further ado, I'm gonna bring him out right now. The real one, Mr. Enzo. How are you, brother?
Actually, yesterday was the best day of my life.
Really?
Yeah, you wouldn't even believe what happened.
What happened?
I wake up today. Today's better than yesterday. Unbelievable. Can't even believe it.
That is insane.
Life is good, man. Needless to say, excited about the prospect of life. Hopefully you guys get out of lockdown out there in Australia. But things have been looking better, at least in the States, from my opinion, and from where I stand. More opportunity to get out there, see fans, and meet people than in the year past. So I'm excited, and I'm not reluctant to leave the house. Not scared. Happy to be alive. Blessed.
Absolutely, man. And we're starting to see you turn up on some more wrestling shows and getting back in, or getting involved more in the current scene. You had a match with Jerry Lawler not too long ago. How's it feel being back in the ring, man, and doing your thing, bro?
Well, to be fair, I got two things off the bucket list in one shot. Two things off the bucket list in one shot. I had a coffin match, casket match, and I got to wrestle Jerry the King Lawler one-on-one. Who better than me? I mean, and call it a third. In the Mid-Hudson Civic Center, where Macho Man debuted, where Andre the Giant got his hair cut by Big John Studd. Countless things have happened. ECW also ran that arena. Some great history there. The only ever WWE Cruiserweight tour. I was on that shot. Thank you. So to be able to come back there, was my first wrestling match outside the WWE 2 years prior when I wrestled Brian Pillman Jr. I didn't have to see a Vice documentary to know that a kid without a dad had a tough life. And when I got an opportunity to meet him, I thought, it's my opportunity to get back and to the business. And I knew there'd be a lot of eyes on that first match coming back, and there was, and a lot of talking. So I wanted to do something different. I came out with no entrance music, and I called a lot of that action in the ring to a young Brian Pillman who had never been in a ring in such a big, spot at that point in his career. So to be able to do that, I think that's what this business is built on. That's what you're supposed to do. I don't get caught up in the hearsay of my performances. When I go out there on screen, I never really like to watch it back. When I was doing it full time, I was much in the moment and living life. Like Roddy Piper never watched any of his work back, and I just thought more or less that it was what a time to be alive. I didn't need to watch it back. You know, I never watched my WrestleMania match with Big Cass and the Hardy Boys return. I've never seen it. I figure maybe one day I'll watch it with family, you know, but what an opportunity. What a life. You know, I had a 7-year run in the WWE that, you know, it's storybook material. So, you know, including the way I walked out. So it was a wild time. I had such a good time. I don't have any regrets about my run in the WWE. I don't hold any animosity. I'm not bitter at all. I just think that some of the best advice I got in pro wrestling was early on in my career from a guy who might not even know he said it. Was John Moxley said, "Don't let them use you, use them." And then I watched him go out there and personify that in ways that are inexplicable. You can't explain the ways in which that guy, you know, was able to walk out on his terms and walk into another big money deal.
Oh, 100%. And I think as well, like the way that he went out as well, you got to respect that as well. Like he didn't trash the company, didn't sort of, you know, say any bullshit on the way out or make anything difficult.
I didn't hear anything.
Like
I lost you for like the last 20 seconds when you started talking. Sorry.
Sorry, no, I was just saying, and you know, he went out a respectful kind of way as well. You know what I mean? Until he left, that's when he sort of opened up a little bit about his experience there.
Yeah, and you know what else is that he never let them bury him on TV.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there was a lot of politics involved in what they said that they wanted him to do as his contract was expiring, and I'm sure that he put his foot down, which is very admirable because not many people get to leave on top, and then as they leave, go into another multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar potential company. You know, there wasn't that there when I got fired, and there was also no apologies on my end. You know, like people fail to realize that, you know, I was in the main event the night I got fired on the biggest Monday Night Raw in the history of Monday Night Raws. So if you think that I wasn't holding my job to the best of my ability and that the company was not happy with my performance, you had the entire story twisted and manipulated. I was fired based on a tweet in the height of an era where we've seen it water down and fizzle out to, you know, where cooler heads have prevailed and you're not guilty till proven innocent. People want to hear both sides of the story, but, you know, you only break a headline when you say one side of the story. And, you know, my conscious effort to take a silence on social media for 5 months and just relax, cool down, and let the system do its thing and play out. For me, I'm the poster boy of innocence in the entire movement. I got lucky. There was no father standing over a daughter, you know, with a lawyer or nothing. It was a simple tweet. So, you know, people love a knee-jerk reaction, but you got to realize you're looking at the first ever women's Royal Rumble that week, and you're bringing in Ronda Rousey. I mean, that's as big as, you know, a women's evolution.
100%.
Nonetheless, I'm in a storyline with a woman at the time. It was crazy timing, but you know what? Like, you know, people aren't stupid. And 5,000 people showed up to Times Square on the day that a police report was generated to say, hey, you know, we saw through this bullshit. We knew it was bullshit, and you were our guy. So we're here for you. So wrestling fans have had my back and kept me afloat. I know there's that that boisterous media out there that loves to hate on anybody who does anything, but I've never adhered to those people in any of my movements. So I've always had you know, nothing but love for anybody who comes to see me at the meet and greet. Like,
so Enzo's just frozen there at the moment, guys, but make sure you check out sleeves.com and use promo code MWA pod to get a 10% discount at sleeves.com. We got you back there, Enzo?
Yeah, I'm back. So, yeah,
okay.
I mean, basically where I stand in, pro wrestling right now is, you know, on the cusp of something that is monumental. I'm one of the only people out here on these streets who was coached by, you know, the likes of Triple H and Dusty Rhodes, who has great relationships with people on both sides. I've never really burned a bridge. I think that anybody who speaks to Eric knows who I am, and they can differentiate the character I play on Instagram, because to me it's a work. It's much like wrestling. It's, you know, there's a certain level to which I can let you into my life. But when you have 1 million followers, you know, and you're fired by the WWE, I was the first guy that happened to.
100%.
So it was a guinea pig situation. I mean, nobody in the social media era had been fired by this huge company, and then at that time there was still nowhere else to go, but at least there was social media. So if you had a huge following, you know, if they per se fired a Zack Ryder back then, what would he do? How would he act? You know, what with no other company to go wrestle for that pays the way WWE does, can you find a way to make big coin, find, you know, money out there on the streets? Can you find, you know, sponsors to, you know, because there's so many people out there in the world that are making buku bucks on YouTube, on Instagram, you know, just being public figures. So all of a sudden you find yourself fired by the biggest company in the world, and you have an opportunity to be a public figure, take time off from pro wrestling, pursue the things that you want to, and see how you can make money and monetize it. And fortunately for me, I've been able to do pretty much whatever I want for the past few years, you know, because I have great support from a great fan base. That's the pro wrestling fans. They're the best fans in the world. So I'm blessed. You know, now you look at the frontier of pro wrestling. If you know, you saw Big Cass make an appearance with me at Madison Square Garden. So obviously I've always had wrestling in my veins, in my mind, and wanted to do it correctly. And you know, I've had talks with every company, you know, out there except for a few, you know, that yet to be named or mentioned. Bottom line is that, you know, I haven't found anything out there that really bit me and said, okay, this is great for me. This is where I fit. I'm very particular, and it's much like the opponents I've chose on the independent circuit that I've had an opportunity to work with. You know, it's meant something to me, every single opponent that I've had. It's something that I believe in, who I want to work with. So I'm at that luxurious point in my career where, you know, I don't have to walk into storylines blindly and do things that I don't want to do, because I can, you know, have a say, and people can trust me to do the right business. I've always done that. If you've watched my career, I laid down for everyone and anyone, and I only went out there on the mic and said what I was allowed to say. You know, I had to fight tooth and nail for a lot of those things. And, you know, when you saw me cross the line here and there or touch the line, you know, I never really went and ran, you know, the baton way past the line.
No,
you know, I was good
100%.
in a PG career. I never cursed one time. That's how you gain trust on a microphone. If you go out there and you slip up, say something stupid. So, you know, all the business I've done outside the WWE, I've had wrestling matches 3 times with Brian Pillman Jr., which was amazing. And then had opportunity to work who I think is one of the best wrestlers in the independent circuit, Ivan Warsaw, formerly known as Knuckles Madsen. SWE Fury, most recently, notably, is where we wrestled each other. He's working elsewhere. I'm working elsewhere. That was just a, you know, place for our story to take place at a great time. And, you know, coming out of COVID, with a place that had thousands of fans in arenas in Texas where you couldn't work in another show. He was a great guy. I went 25 minutes with him. I went 15 minutes bell to bell in a time limit draw with Juice Robinson.
He's a great talent.
You know, and Juice is a guy that I knew from NXT as well, that I loved and had a great relationship with. Got to work with, you know, Hernandez from LAX, you know, and had an opportunity to work with Big Cass again. Obviously, we got broken up by the WWE. It was a choice they made, and we ran with it and did whatever they asked, because that's what you do when you're there.
Did you think it was the split with Big Cass came too early?
Well, the truth is that I had screws and plates in my leg, and I was going to get them taken out. And we had to draw up a storyline for me to get gone. So we started finding me dead backstage. And you find me dead backstage becomes the hottest storyline in pro wrestling. So now they look at me and they're like, bro, you're white hot. Do you really want to get the surgery right now? So I was like, fuck it. I'll go to the cruiserweight division and I'll hold, you know, and I'll do that. And, you know, so, I mean, really, you can't look in retrospect and say, was it too soon? Because, I mean, I never won titles with Big Cass in a tag team. And I went on my own to have my favorite run of my career. You know,
Absolutely.
the day that it ended, the day before that was the best day I ever had at work. I main evented the Mid-Hudson Civic Center for the 205 Live division in their first ever cruiserweight tour. So I was riding on sky high, you know?
Man, you mentioned your release from WWE, and months leading up to that, there was a lot of reports in the dirt sheets, which I personally take with a grain of salt, because it's like you don't know what's factual and what someone's just sitting there making up. And what was reported in a lot of these dirt sheets was there was a lot of heat on you backstage for certain things, and with and being kicked off a tour bus. Was there
fight on a tour bus that nobody ever spoke about, and because the boys are G's and they never spoke about it, the words don't need to come out, but somebody wore a shiner to work on Monday, and it wasn't me, and that's all I'll say. But you're not going to hear about Enzo either getting put over because he knocked somebody out. So guys, look, this is pro wrestling, and nobody ever made it to the top without a little heat. And the guys who really wanted to take it and be that guy in the main event, clearly I was doing it, guys. Everybody complained about it. Nobody wanted to grab the brass ring and wasn't scared to get people, from writers who leaked to the dirt sheets that I'm saying I'm not doing that. I'm talking to Vince. Vince McMahon is the greatest mind in the history of our wrestling business, and he gets blamed for everything that goes wrong. He takes it on the fucking chin, and he doesn't care what people have to say. He does what's right. He does what's best for his business. And I was in the Enzo business before I was in, anything else. I had to make sure that what I said on that microphone was coming from my mouth. You didn't have to say it. I'm out here saying it. You don't have to say it. So if people want to put somebody, in a place where it wasn't the boys that I had heat with, guys, ever. I mean, if you ask me, I can walk up to anybody in that locker room and say, "What did I ever do to you?" And they will look me in the eye and say, "Nothing, Enzo." And that's all that ever mattered to me, because when I came to work, I had a job, and I had friendly rapport with everyone that I worked with, and everybody who was in 205 Live. I never had issues with anybody. They would tell you that. But the bottom line is, if you make it to the top, you can't make it to the top without a little heat. There's people who are jealous. I don't know what the story is. I never had a, jealous bone in my body. I was always able to be, the guy who laid on his back 1, 2, 3 to build up other talent, to make other people relevant when, I knew that there was a lot of eyes on me in the segments that I was on television. I would do whatever I was told by the brass. That, to a certain degree, you can't fight. But the guy who did fight tooth and nail to get where he was at, never wrestled the match before in his life, got over his first day on the job with WWE with his tag team partner, Big Cass, due to John Cena blessing us on the microphone and repeating soft in NXT and a dark segment. I mean, John Cena blesses you. You're made in the shade in NXT in those years. So that crowd, you couldn't do no wrong in front of. If you look, it was Bayley, it was Sasha, it was Charlotte, it was Finn, it was Kevin, it was Samoa Joe, it was Sami Zayn, it was Neville, it was, FTR, Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake, Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch. Guys, it was the most lit crowd in the history of wrestling.
Yes, it was.
Crowd went insane.
Oh, dude,
I loved every minute of that.
We were in a great spot. We got the microphone. It was a lot of fun. It translated to the main roster. So it just worked out for us, man. And,
Did Vince get your character, though?
Vince, I mean, I didn't realize probably that I had heat at the time because I was able to go talk to Vince. But nobody gets to talk to Vince. New Day go talk to Vince because New Day walk in his office, maybe pop a joke and laugh, and like I don't know, like I think Vince loved New Day, man. I think he fucked with those guys. He liked me, man. He loved Jericho. He made time for Kevin, man. Owens, he made time for Roman and Seth and Dean. There was just not a lot of guys that he made time for on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. If you got time to talk to him, it was because he needed to talk to you about the segs you were in. And all the guys that I just talked about, they were the guys who were in the main event segments over the 2 years I was in the company.
That's crazy.
Right there with him. So I was in opening segs and those segments. Those segments are Vince needs to talk to you.
Yeah, and if Vince needs to talk to you, he needs to get something from you, and only he can sort of portray what he's trying to get out of you, like to get his vision across for what he envisions you doing that night or for future.
Vince McMahon tells you to go out there and cry, and you pull it off, but you do it in a way that there's only one tear that drops down your face.
Yeah.
And it's the number one ratings draw in the company. He probably makes more time for you. I would assume that happened, but I wasn't really paying attention. I was moving fast, living life fast in the main event, on to the next town the next day, the next party, the next, city. I did it. I lived it. I had a great time doing it. When I look at it in retrospect, it's just, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, holy shit. Like, you can't even believe that you had a conversation with one-on-one with a billionaire like a few times. You know what I mean?
100%, especially someone who's had the most intimidating, presence in pro wrestling history, as being like the most powerful man. But as far as with you getting, to the main roster, like in NXT, rumor has it that you guys have a lot more freedom to what you say on the mic for character development, etc. But the main roster is more scripted.
Well,
as far as promo goes, did you get that same freedom when you went up there?
Well, I am in a unique category, and like you said, probably one of the reasons why you maybe heard people getting rumored stories about me is because the writers spend all day writing this material, and then I come in and I rewrite the whole fucking thing. Nobody's happy about that if they're a writer, and they're probably the people who are involved on the independent circuit. I never knew what the independent circuit was when I was in pro wrestling. I never knew. I would make jokes, and I'd be in the car with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and I'd be like, "Who the fuck is Dave Meltzer?" You know what I mean? And I'm opening these shows with these guys that work their ass off to get where they're at in these main event matches, and I can't tell you who the fuck anybody is that they are mentioning in the car. I'm jokingly with Finn Balor, who's like my best buddy. He and Kevin might say a name that they know from the indies.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'll have a one-liner for them and just joke or something. And they get a big kick out of it because it was probably their best friend who was working really hard too, and didn't get a shot or whatever. I wasn't hating on them. It was me making light on the fact that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing or where the fuck I'm at as far as like the outside world is concerned. I only know the WWE, and that's it. And it was a real come to Jesus when you get fired and you go out here and you meet all those people that you were hearing about, and you hear about the echoes and the places and the things, and you do these podcasts that the WWE never let you do, and you get to have a beer on camera if you feel like it, or have a joint on camera if you feel like it, and just be a normal human. And for me, it's been a blessing being free. It took a lot of work. You got to go out there and you got to eat shit sandwiches and learn to like the taste of it, as they would say in the WWE. And I had to do that my whole career. Nobody really realizes, nobody is different up there. You got to go up there and you got to, eat shit. And it's like, I'm not going to compare it to the military because that'd be awful. But, in a way, you just don't get to rebuttal. And that's.
Do you think a lot of guys, they say that once they left WWE, it's almost like they felt like the shackles have been released, like they've been able to sort of break free? Yeah, I mean, like they feel like they were creatively covered over, so to speak.
Yeah, there's a craziness to it, and for me, it was different, way different than anybody. I got fired at the height of my run, at the height of my career, so I never dipped. I peaked and I never went downward, and I never they never got to rewrite the story, and they never got to change what happened. And I left with a title around my waist, and nobody really ever gets.
We just lost audio there from Enzo.
Yeah, I did say nobody really got. Yeah, I got to run here in a second, but nobody really gets that opportunity. Did I leave on my own terms? No, but when I was there, man, I had no plan on renegotiating a contract, re-signing with the company. I was gonna ride it till the wheels fell off. Literally, like when my contract date ends, I was gonna do what Dean Ambrose did. They never re-signed me for years. I was only under contract for one WrestleMania. So I was a week away from the Rumble, and now my contract, is going to slip through the cracks, and they don't even realize it at the time. I'm signed with Barry at that time, but that was 2 years ago. So,
that's wild though. That like even then, because you've never seen in a company release someone who is a current champion. Like it's just never, it's never happened. And as you mentioned earlier, the tweet went out. And then they released you straight off that. What was the communication about that to you? Was it like, hey, look, we just have to let you go. We can possibly.
Yeah, it was just a phone call from Mark Carano. That was it. See you later, kid. And I said, hey man, it's your loss. And I hung up the phone.
Now that is a certified G.
All right, guys, I got to run, man. That's a true story, but I got to run. It's been a pleasure here. I gotta get back into the changing room here and do my thing. I'm on site for a movie called Jersey Bread. Look out for me and my cameo in the movie. Got a couple scenes here. We're talking shit. All right.
That's it.
But yeah, man, take it easy, brothers.
Hey, I got to get a hold of you again, Enzo.
All right, take it easy, Brad. It was good to hear from you, Piers. It was my pleasure, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. But guys, that was our interview with Enzo Amore. Huge shout out to him for being on. Guys, as well, if you want to go and check out all of our shows, you can find us on every podcast app that you can find. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitch, MWA Podcast Network on YouTube and all podcast platforms, and also twitch.tv/MWA World. Make sure to give us a follow. Huge shout out to our sponsors, healthvape.com and sleeves.com. Use promo codes MWAPod to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. But guys, thank you very much for tuning in. It is time to say goodbye. Brad, thank you very much for being a part, sir. We'll catch you very, very soon, guys. Make sure you tune in 10 a.m. Australian time, 8 p.m. Eastern for Killing the Business with Angel Medina, the ECW original, King Mega, and Sexton. But guys, we'll catch you soon. Peace out.